Hello, everybody, and welcome to Haiku Talk. I'm your host, Ben Ga, your friendly neighborhood haiku poet. And today we're going to be taking a look at a piece from the latest issue of Blithe Spirit from poet Lorraine Haig, with the first line of Sinking Sun. With that said, you know what time it is. Time to sit back, relax, grab yourself a tasty beverage, and let's haiku. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to be with you again here at Haiku Talk. And this piece is from Lorraine Haig, again from Blithe Spirit. Let's just get right to the poem. It goes like this. Sinking sun, the last glimpse of Venice from a water taxi. Sinking sun, the last glimpse of Venice from a water taxi. Very good piece. Very good piece. Now, this follows the fragment and phrase format that we've come to know and love, with the first line being the fragment of Sinking Sun, and lines 2 and 3 composing the phrase of the last glimpse of Venice from a water taxi. Now, this piece is an interesting one because it does take place in the present tense. It does set up a moment that does unfold for us in real time. But it's one of these pieces that feels like it's also speaking to a future time. It's almost speaking to a point that we haven't come to see yet. And the reason being is because of the implications of what's happening within this moment. And that is the last glimpse that we're seeing of Venice from a water taxi, with the first line of Sinking Sun. Because Venice is sinking, and in the case of climate change, in the case of seawater rise, I mean, this very well could be something you see at the last minute of your vacation. Like if you visited there today, and I visited there last time I was there, 2002. I definitely remember viewing Venice from a water taxi. But it has this implication, this warning of like something in the future, almost a bit like sci-fi coup, which is kind of a form where people write haiku, but with a sci-fi bent to it. Although it's not necessarily as science fiction-y as we might think, especially with global temperatures breaking all sorts of records these days. And here in the United States, we're being pummeled every other week by massive smoke from the hundreds of wildfires that are going on right now in Canada. And this poem just really seems more appropriate than ever. It's also a little bit romantic, as you're turning to it's the last view of something that you're seeing, be it again the very in the present last moment of looking at the spot that you just spent a vacation on, the last view of Venice before you as you're leaving, but also a last view of something that could be gone forever. And these are things that as we live our life in this lifetime, it makes me wonder what might be the last, what other things might be like this. I lament the fact that I never got to go to Paris and see, the big cathedral there that was hit with a fire not too long ago. I mean, they're working on rebuilding it, but it's not going to be the same. And it also brings to mind the press can't think of the right word, the specialness of these things that you get to go and see, that you make a pilgrimage to see, and how seeing them in person really really speaks to you. I know seeing a place like Venice in real life, or seeing the Vatican, seeing these great cities, being in London, being in these places that have a lot of history, a lot of weight, a lot of interesting buildings and architecture, and we don't know how long everything's going to be around. This poem really hits at that sort of sense of things not being here forever, including our time at any specific place and point, but also the things around us that we might go visit, that we might look upon and think, wow, that's the last time I've seen that. That's the last time anybody's going to see that. Which, adds another bit of importance, to our roles as writers, in that we are capturing life as we know it, as we see it in our lifetime. And who knows which moments that we've captured in our poems might end up being some of the last remnants of people actually seeing something like that and describing it in real time. That's part of the thing about humanity and our use of language in the written word. It's, as far as we know, we're the only species that has had that on this planet. And it's one of those things that kind of overall, unites us in a way. We're constantly telling our story, retelling our story, reimagining our story, and sharing what it's like to be here and now as humans on this world. And we have the wonderful, amazing potential to introduce people, to show people things for the first time, to show people or allow people to step in moments and experience them for the first time, or find familiarity in places that are comfortable or hurtful, or cause unease or cause joy, that we share collectively as humans, but also a sort of documenting the things that are here and now, that who knows, tomorrow might not be. And so there's a lot happening in this poem reverberating beyond the actual immediacy of the moment at hand, which is truly somebody looking back from their water taxi to get a last view of Venice for that specific moment, for that trip. And it's just really, really masterfully done. Let's break it down line by line again to kind of show how it's working. So that first line of sinking sun is a really nice line. It's an action line. It's not just a sunset. It's the sun is actually sinking. And that's a key word that gives the rest of the poem a lot of weight. But sinking sun as a first line, we have no idea what's coming next. We know we're in a place where we are observing the sun in the action of setting. Good first line. Line 2, the last glimpse of Venice. The last glimpse of Venice. Now we're starting to get something. So now we know what we're looking at. We're looking in the sunset. We're seeing the last glimpse of Venice. And it could also, at this point, we think maybe it's the last glimpse of Venice during the day because the sun is setting. The sun is sinking, sorry. That's a key word, sinking. So at this point in the poem, we know the sun is sinking and we're getting a last look of Venice. The last glimpse of Venice. Not just a look, but a glimpse. And that, I think, too, is a key word in this poem. The sinking and the glimpse evokes a sense of something happening very quickly. Then we get that third line of from a water taxi. From a water taxi. And so we know, obviously, I mean, we're already kind of implied in Venice where you might be, but from a water taxi, as you're leaving the city, you're leaving it on the water. So you're imagining the sunset, and you've got the beautiful view of Venice, and you're pulling away, and it's just a beautiful shot, a romantic shot, very cinematic shot of what's going on. But then I think there are three words here in this poem that really emphasize the fact of impermanence: sinking, glimpse, and water. All of these things are fluid. All of these things are in motion. And sinking, glimpse, water, for that one, all three of those lines, stacking them up that way, help give this poem a sense of, the unfortunate doom that will be Venice one day. It's going to sink. It's going to sink, unless they do some amazing things to try to permanently shore it up so that it won't. But that's the prediction. One day it's going to sink. And so, we have this poem of somebody that I believe was there watching this happen on a water taxi, written it down, allows me to step into this moment, see it myself with my own eyes, takes me back to the time when I was there, and help confirms the fact that it was real, because I also was there. I've also seen it. I've also walked around in Venice. I've, felt those stones, walked through those maze of passageways and streets and dead ends and bridges and so on and so forth. And also left with that sinking feeling, knowing that this is not going to be around forever. So a great piece in a very short poem, a great bench of tension in this very short poem that makes it a wonderful read and wonderful reread. So thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, Blithe Spirit. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in for another episode of Haiku Talk. So now, the things I gotta say, please hit the thumbs up if you like this video. Think about subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you liked and subscribed, think about ringing the bell to be notified when new episodes arrive. It really does help the channel. And until then, until next time, peace, everybody.